Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again. Here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my video review for The Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 11, I Ain't a Judas. As always, my reviews do contain spoilers, so anybody who's worried about that, you may or may not want to watch. After last week, obviously, Walking Dead Season 3, Episode 10, Home, was one of the best episodes we've had of the series, one of the most exciting episodes we've had of the series. The ending of it, we got a character death, we had tons of action, tons of zombies, lots of gunfire, lots of things happening. We had character development from Rick. We had all these sorts of things, happening in one episode that it just made for one of the most exciting episodes we've ever had of The Walking Dead. I mean, the Walker bomb with the truck full of walkers that they unleash, or the governor unleashes upon Rick's group at the prison, was just, brilliant, creative, and the whole thing, all in all, was just really, really exciting. And I felt like it was well done, too. The shots were awesome. Everything was good with that. I really liked it a lot. This week's episode, not quite. It was okay. It was okay overall, I'd say. It was pretty good, but it definitely was not one of the better episodes we've had in a while. The story, I think of it, is pretty good. The plot was okay, but there was a lot of things about the episode that I was like, especially the music at the end. The music at the end of this episode was really weird. It was really out of place. First of all, I don't like that type of music at all. It was overkill, because here's the problem. First, you have Beth singing. You guys will know how I feel about Beth singing. Ugh. And then after that, you have more music. So it's just like music overkill. And that's unfortunate, because it was a really exciting scene, or at least it should have been, and it was still kind of exciting. But definitely, whoever made the decision to go with that background music at the end of the episode totally effed it up. I mean, that was a bad choice for the moment. It didn't add to the suspense. It was distracting from the final scene, where we're actually we're all tense and amped up, because the question, is she going to do it? Isn't she going to do it? What's she going to do? Will she do it? Won't she? And you're kind of sitting there, and you've got this stupid folk country music playing that it just was a poor choice, in my opinion. Maybe some people like that kind of music, so they liked it. But, when we're focusing on a scene, when you have something really crucial happening here, for the story, for the characters, everything, I don't want to be distracted by this crappy background music. Plus, if they were going to go with the Beth singing, okay, painful, yeah, whatever. But then after that, that's it. No more music, no more singing, no more whatever. Let's get into some tense score, or whatever you want to do, and see Andrea's decision, see what she's going to do. So that was a big drop the ball, in my opinion. Whoever chose to do that, please don't do that again. It just kind of ruined the moment for me anyway. Maybe for some of you, you felt like it was okay, but for me, it was overkill. So that was one big takeaway. One of the things I have to say. I haven't had a lot of negative things to say about The Walking Dead in the last almost all season, at least the last couple episodes, but definitely in this one, that was out of place. Some of the shots were okay. Zooming in, I especially liked where they introduced Merle and Herschel, and they're kind of meeting for the first time and saying that he's the farmer. And then Herschel, I love that dialogue where he replies, "And you're the black sheep." I thought that was brilliant. The shot where they kind of zoom in at the beginning of that, sort of I think it was through the hole or beside him, that was okay. But there was a lot of things in the episode here and there. It was it didn't fit right, didn't feel right, and it was just, it felt very amateurish, I would say. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but a lot of it did. That does take away from the episode. I thought it could have been a lot better than it was. But, granted, they have to make a lot of episodes a season, so they're not all going to be, up to that standard that, the first season had, where you only had 6 episodes. It was a lot easier to make sure everything is just right on point and basically perfect for that, rather than when you have 16 episodes and you have a lot more things happening in between and a lot more editing and all this stuff. It doesn't get as polished, which makes sense. So whatever, we'll let that slide. Anyway, as usual, let's take it from the top. So we left off last week with Rick being super freaking pissed off, and the look from the fence in his eyes where he just gets really serious at the end of the last episode of Home because he's just been attacked, and he still has obviously people he cares about, loves Carl, of course. The baby, I don't know how he feels about the baby. I mean, it kind of seems like now he's kind of warming up to her, but kind of not. It's kind of like, I think he cares more for Carl than he does for the baby at this point. I'm not sure how he feels about the baby because Laurie did die in that process. Plus, you got to think that because of timing, he's got to question whether or not it is Shane's baby or his baby. And maybe that's something in the show they'll never visit because they haven't talked about it yet. There's so much action, so much happening. They've never visited whose baby is it. In the comic book series, it's pretty clear it's Shane's kid. It's pretty clear it's Shane's baby. In the television series, it looks like Shane's baby too, at least the hair color. And I don't know, it kind of looks more like Shane to me than Rick. But Laurie, with the hair color and everything, is more similar looking to Shane than she is to Rick. So, kind of something where you can kind of, I guess for yourself which way they want to go in the TV series. And something I don't know if they'll ever touch base on. I'd like them to, maybe next season at some point. But it looks like right now they're not interested in doing that whatsoever. So Merle and Herschel and Rick are all arguing about leaving. Merle makes some really good points, and they probably should listen to him more than they do, but they kind of shush him up pretty quickly and won't have anything to do with what he's saying. That's probably a bad decision because Rick or Merle knows how the governor operates. He knows that they probably should have left already, and now they definitely need to leave. Rick wants to stay. I guess your attitude does follow your behavior. And so far, he's behaved like this prison is everything. The second he saw it, laid eyes on it, he was just in love with his prison because it gave him an opportunity to make sure his group was safe. So he obviously doesn't want to give it up without several fights. They've already had one fight, but without several, even though one member has died already. I don't think he cared much for Axel anyway. I don't even think he ever trusted him or anything, whatever. Sort of halfway, kind of like he's not wasn't really like a full member of the group, maybe halfway, you could kind of say. So, yeah, so Rick wants to stay, Herschel wants to leave. So, based on what happened in the comic book series and what we're seeing, but Rick and their side of the group don't really see Herschel is probably right. Herschel's probably in the right here, and, kind of like that fatherly wisdom when he's talking to Rick, letting him know that they need to leave. Yes, they have the baby. It'll be annoying for it to cry on the road, and it's going to be difficult. But still, the governor is too dangerous. He has too many people, and we'll get into some members joining later on when it occurs in the sequential order here. So there's that. Andrea's mad at the governor. She kind of freaks out on him, and she wants to go to the prison. You get the part with Milton and the governor. I thought that was pretty cool that Milton still told the governor. He didn't know who. Well, we all knew he was loyal to the governor, but, and a female, it's kind of like, for Milton, it's kind of good question of which side he would go with or what he would do. So Andrea leaves, goes off to the prison, and very unexpected, on the way, while they're, okay, by the way, that was some really cool stuff they did to that walker. Her and Milton taking its arms off and then her making it bite the rock. That was a great scene, a great choice, very, very smart. But at the same time, though, I don't think that would be that effective either, because you have one walker in front of you. Yes, it would help mask you a little bit, but, the walkers, they would still smell you. I don't know if it would work as well. Guts works because you're covering yourself with guts. That works really well because you're masking everything. They can't tell the difference. But just having one in front of you, I don't know if it's okay. I guess it's okay. But we'll let that slide. That's a little iffy right there on whether or not that should work. Yeah, but it is more spaced out, and she did have to axe a few on the way. So whatever, we'll let that slide. That's all good. Plus, they did come out to the gate to get her and let her in. That has to be the highlight of the episode there when she gets to the prison. Okay, before that, of course, so she's out there with Milton. The zombie's biting the rock. She smashed her teeth, everything. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, out pops Tyreese. Now, this is really strange. I've done a couple of videos last week talking about what's going to happen with him and what I think is going to happen with predictions. And again, I am totally wrong. Totally, completely incorrect. He shows up and he joins Woodbury. I'm like, what the hell? This is so weird, man. Because from the comic book series and also from the standpoint of numbers, you would think he's got 4 people, and they got to be pretty damn tough because they survived until now on their own, and they don't really have a home base. They did, but now it's exhausted in terms of supplies, so they've left. So you've got 4 tough people that are used to being out on their own. Tyrese is pretty big, maybe, I don't know, 230 or something, 220, something like that. He's a pretty big guy. The others 2 look like they're fairly scrappy and that they could at least handle themselves a little bit. And the 4 of them could really be a benefit to Rick's group, I mean, to say the least, because they're so short on numbers. Those people are tough. A lot of the people in Woodbury are not that accustomed to outside the gates. I mean, a certain number of them are, but it's like you've got a small group, and then the majority of the people in the town, because there's like 70, right? The majority of the people there are not fighters. There's only like maybe, like 20 fighters, maybe 30 if you use the youngins, which is what the governor's going to do. But now you're adding on 4 more to the governor's repertoire. And to make matters even worse, they have inside information about Rick's group, and they think Rick is crazy because he, freaked out on them, and, started yelling at the wall and pointed a gun at him and told him to go, and, kind of almost shot him. I mean, almost killed him. So, I mean, from his perspective, yeah, because he doesn't know this guy. He's like, who the hell is this guy? So definitely everything feels natural there that he would join the governor's group. It fits perfectly. Plus, the governor, we know in his character that he is somebody that, puts on a real good show, presentation, could swear he was in sales or something. He seems really clean cut. He seems really nice. He gives people this idea that they can just be on the road and leave. And he knows that it's part of his strategy because he knows that they're not going to want to leave. Because he's like, yeah, you can leave anytime you want to, whatever. But he knows that they're not going to want to leave because of what he has to offer, and they can be a part of his group. So now the governor's got, it was a 73 before, he lost 6, so he's back up to about 70 now with Tyrese's group added on, and those 4 are probably tougher than the other 6 that were killed in the gunfight with Rick and Maggie. And the rest of them, Daryl and the rest when they went to get Glenn and Maggie there. So he's going to have even more people. So that is crazy. Now I'm starting to think like Rick's group, no matter how tough they are, they don't stand a chance because there's like less than 10 of them. And they're tougher than the people in Woodbury. Yeah, per person they're tougher. Most of them. Merle definitely tougher. Sean, oh yeah, big time. Rick, oh yeah, he's a freaking murderer at this point. Even Carl will be tougher than most of the people in Woodbury. Who else we got? I forget. Daryl. Well, yeah, Merle, Daryl. Herschel, no, not really. The baby, no. Maggie, yeah, she's really tough, and she's a good shot too. So they have a good in terms of like their fighting prowess. They're really good, but they just don't have enough people. If they're going to get attacked by 35 people, even if some of them are kids or whatever, man, like unless they get picked off completely and they can't make any kind of ground against Rick, like unless Rick's group is inside the walls when they attack, like inside the prison, shooting from inside, and can just snipe them off left, right, and center. And maybe some of them would retreat in that situation. But the governor's really tricky. And he's got a lot of good guns. And if he's got that many people, an assault like that would just be, how could they stop that? Also, we don't know what happened to the person who was driving the truck last week. We never saw what happened with that. I think it's kind of safe to assume that person, whoever it was, I don't think it didn't show them getting shot. So they must have ran away. And you got to think, though, too, they had armor on all over. So they could take at least a shot and try to get away, probably survive it, even though they might get bruised or whatever. They would have been able to run away because there were so many walkers inside, that area that they were preoccupied. So that person may have just been able to just run out, essentially, and get away because we haven't heard from them again. So I assume that's what, we're supposed to think is that they got away, they ran away. Who it was, I don't think it really matters too much. I mean, one of the governor's people in his town, one of his fighters, doesn't matter all that much which one it was. They might not even ever show it. I don't think it's of that much importance either. So very strange. Tyreese joins the governor's group. So what is Rick and the rest of them going to do? Jesus, man. The Woodbury has so many people now, so many fighters. Wow. So obviously, from our perspective, the viewer, we know that Rick's group should be running to the hills. So that's that. Definitely an interesting topic, something I could probably do a whole video talking about. Anyway, I won't spend too long on it. Very, very surprising, very interesting that they would go that route and have Tyreese join the governor's group. But based on what we've seen, it's natural and it makes sense. So I like that. It fit really well. Back to Andrea. So Andrea's part being at the prison. This was really, really a great, I think, sequence here. All the different scenes with her just being back. I thought the most interesting part of it was how she was being treated right away and how Rick was just being such an asshole to her. Like he treats her like she's totally, a traitor almost and, not part of their group anymore at all and almost like she never was. So that whole sequence was really exciting. The whole part where he's telling her to get down and he's patting her down and everything. It's like, wow. And then, of course, the big question, which we all knew she was going to ask, where's Shane? I thought that was great when Carol told her that Rick killed him, and she's like, oh. And then you could tell right away, just from that and the way Rick was treating her, because she hasn't seen him forever, that she's not going to be loyal to Rick. I mean, why would she be in her situation? It doesn't make sense that she would be. Some really interesting scenes there. Her talking to Michonne. Her finding out that the governor sent Merle to kill Michonne after. And the funniest one to me was where Carol's like telling her that she's got to kill him when he's sleeping. she gives her like this strategy, give him the best night of his life and then end it right after that. It's like wow, like that was cold, man. Like, come on, that is cold, dude, big time. She's cold at this point, but you gotta think though, that's in character too, because she's lost her daughter and she's in the type of state where she might do anything to survive at this point or protect the group. Could be. So that was interesting. And then, of course, when she leaves, pretty interesting scenes. Kind of very attention-grabbing and very exciting because I was just dying to see how the characters react to one another because they haven't seen Andrea since season 2, the end of season 2. Her asking about Lori, everything like that was great. It was a lot of good scenes. So she leaves, goes back off to Woodbury. They give her the knife, they give her the gun, and then she's off. So then she gets to Woodbury and essentially is allowed back in pretty much instantaneously without too much trouble, it seems, and returns to the governor and the exciting scene at the end with her. And like I said, the music ruined it. Also, best singing didn't do much for me at the prison. Number 1, it's been done already in the premiere. Number 2, I was expecting Merle to come out and be like, "Would you shut up?" or something like that. Like that would have made it worthwhile. I was waiting. I was like, "Is Merle going to tell her to shut up? Please tell me he's going to tell her to shut up." But he didn't. Well, he's supposed to get along, but that would have been funny. I was just waiting for him to do it. I was kind of like expecting him to do that, even though he didn't. So yeah, and then of course it ends off with Andrea deciding not to kill the governor. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, too, because number 1, Rick killed Shane, and, Carol says that Shane loved Lori. So, number 2, she's going to be like, I'm not sure about that, because, their whole crotch-grabbing party in the car thing. And also that, Rick was such an asshole to her when she got there. He doesn't look the same. He's, his hair's all longer. He's scruffier. He doesn't act the same way as he used to. He used to be a lot kinder to people, and now he's a total prick, asshole, because of what happened to Lori, obviously, and everything. So you got to think that, the governor is kind to her, is warm to her, and everything. And Michonne also is rejecting of Andrea with regards to still being a friend or whatever. She blames her, and she's not cool with her at this point. So you got to think that, yeah, I mean, that makes sense, too, that Andrea, because of Shane, because of, all the things, because of Rick acting that way, because of everyone being so cold to her, because of them seeming so desperate of her to do something like help us, save us, help us, it would make her see them as kind of pathetic in a way. And also, too, she's got the knife there, and the governor has never really done anything to her personally. And we're all human beings, so we're all inherently selfish. We kind of have to be in order to take care of ourselves. So I guess it would make sense that she wouldn't really want to do that. Plus, if she did that, they would kill her on sight if they found her. Like she would have to try to escape again. That would be difficult for her to do. And then at the same time, so escaping would be hard. The governor, obviously, if somebody found her, and she didn't get away in time, then she'd be putting her own life in jeopardy. Plus, she kind of like, I don't think she would actually want to leave Woodbury and go back to live with Rick and the rest of the group anyway, because number one, she's lovers with the governor, even though he's not perfect. Number two, everybody in Rick's group is mean to her except for maybe Carol. That's it. I mean, who cares about Carol? Whatever. She's whatever. So, and also, Woodbury's such a bigger community. They have a better state of life. Like she looks at the prison, she's like, this is where you're living. And you can't say that doesn't have an effect, because it does, because they're living in a shithole. And then in Woodbury, they have warm shower. They have houses. They all have their own houses. They have nice beds. They have all these things, luxuries. They're living closer to the way we live now. Whereas at the prison, they're barely surviving, essentially. So yeah, that's pretty much, all I got to say about the episode. I may have missed a few things here and there, but whatever. I'll give it overall a 7 out of 10, just because of the problems I mentioned before, because there was almost no action. It was still good, and definitely developed Andrea quite a bit more, and there was some interesting character development, getting to see Andrea with all the characters at the prison. So I did enjoy all of that, and just getting to kind of them size each other up and see where they're at this point kind of brings everything back and kind of reminds you that, hey, Shane and Lori were in the show at one point. Andrea doesn't know that they're not alive anymore. All of these things. So it was good. I'll give it a 7, but nothing spectacular. Definitely not one of the best episodes we've had this season, but definitely helps build up the rest of the show. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with Andrea the rest of the season, what she's going to decide to do. And if they attack the prison, she may be the one to put the governor down if it comes to it. So we'll see what happens, but that's pretty much all I got to say for this one. It was a good episode overall, but not the best. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, saying peace.